Hello, everybody, and welcome to the You Are the Guide podcast. So, in today's episode, we're going to get a little bit of an introduction on astrology. I'm calling this Astrology 101 because I want to sit here and talk to you about astrology as if you've never heard about it. So that way, moving forward, if through any of the episodes we bring up something about astrology, you have something to refer to. And also you can go like, oh, okay, I understand a little bit about it. Now, some of you may be a pro and you may be listening to this and you may be like, no. And remember, it's okay to disagree, have different perspectives, but I hope that today is just fun and exciting and we can learn something new. So I will tell you, even though I do have just personal knowledge about astrology and I want to give you like my flavor of how I see it, I want to start explaining this from a book and this is the book by Chani Nicholas. And I love it. You Were Born for This. You Were Born for This. Chani Nicholas. Love this book because it's simple and because the core and the foundation of the book is radical acceptance. And I just realized how dirty my book is. But anyway, if you're listening to this only, you have no idea, but it's kind of dirty. Anyway, so this is called You Were Born for This, Astrology for Radical Self-Acceptance. So I love this because to me, this is why astrology is useful. So I'm going to be referring to this book. If you have questions, go buy it. Go follow her on social media. She is awesome and I love her style. That's just extra, but I really love her style. So I'm going to be referring to this information. First things first, I mentioned to you last time, and I just want to refer it to here again, is that this is something that stayed with me when I heard this girl mentioning on TikTok, and I'm so sorry because I missed her name and I did not save the video, but if anybody knows her, please let me know or give me her name and I'll mention her. But she was saying how sometimes people say, I don't believe in astrology, and how astrology is actually not a belief system. Astrology is something that you know or you don't know. The example she gave is like, you don't go, I don't believe in my mom. It's you know your mom or you don't know your mom, or like the example I gave is I don't believe in changing the oil in my car. It's either you know how to change the oil in your car or you don't, or you pay somebody to do it. But those things are not a belief system. So just know that you understanding astrology and using it to help you become the best version of yourself does not mean you're subscribing to a belief system. And in no way, shape, or form should it ever interfere with your personal beliefs, with your faith. Okay? And we'll talk more about faith in so many other videos. But right now, let's talk about astrology because I love it. Just to let you know, I have to personally tame myself from talking about astrology as much as I want to, because my daughter and my partner are like, they listen to me. They're so supportive, but they know the moment I'm going to start bringing up like, do you guys know that Jupiter? And they just go quiet. Like their energy goes like, and they just listen to me and let me talk. So I've learned to pick up on the signs of when they want to know and when they don't, and taking it from there. So first things first is what I wanted to mention. Let me just open what I want to share with you. You want to use astrology as a tool, as one of the tools that help you get to know yourself. And once again, without strictly believing everything it says and assuming the persona that it describes, or also without denying it and being like, no, I am not like that. You simply want to use it from a state of curiosity. Just stay open and see how it feels for you. And if at any point it just really doesn't sit well with you, then you don't have to ever get into it. But I just find it fun and interesting. And just as it is with the gene keys, because remember, the gene keys uses astrology. So they're very connected. The main goal is to use it to look at yourself and be like, there's nothing wrong with me. I always say my moon is in Leo. And some people say that sometimes the unhealed version of the Leo moon is very dramatic, very needy, very self-obsessed, which can be. And I remember there's parts of me where I've always had a lot of like emotional needs, and I want my partners to see that in me, and I want them to acknowledge it. And I used to feel so ashamed about it. Like I was ashamed to tell people like, I'm needy. I need attention. Please give it to me. So when I started to learn about astrology and the gene keys, because it shows it on both, because it's using the same system, I was like, oh, like there's nothing wrong with me. This is the way that I was built. Leo moons are also very generous and very loving and like to care for others and like to give. Like anything in life, there's both sides of it. So just know that I hope that is what this helps you with. So the first thing that we want to talk about, which is what many people know about astrology, is what we call your top 3, which is after, and in a moment I'll talk about how to get your chart, but it's about where your sun, your moon, and your rising sign or your ascendant fall in your chart. So those are the main 3 things that people go like, oh, do you know your astrology? Back in the day, you only wanted to know your sun. So you would just be like, oh, my sun is in Taurus, my sun is in Libra or whatever. And that's all people knew. And it was based on, of course, just the month that you were born on, But now we want to also know what your moon is and what your rising sign is. So first things first, you want to go online. I go to astro.com, but you can go to any website and you will put your name. Well, you don't have to put your name, but your date of birth, so day, month, and year, and then your date, month, and year, and then you're going to put where you were born, the city, state, and country, and what time you were born. The most specific you are with your time, the better. So this is where we're going to call mom. We're going to get out that birth certificate. If we don't have anything, we're going to ask people in our family, do you remember if I was born during the day, during the time, during the night? The more specific you are, the better. And if you don't have a specific time, you're going to kind of have to guess and just be aware that your reading, your chart is not going to be that specific. So use it vaguely, but just know it's still possible to use it. After you do that, you're going to see something that you're probably going to be like, whoa, what's this? There's going to be a lot of information. But to get started, you want to go to what is my sun sign, what is my moon, and what is my rising. Your rising sign is the sign that is in your first house, which right now we're going to talk about it. In astrology, there's 12 houses. Your rising sign is on the first house. So first, your sun represents your life's purpose. Your sun represents your life's purpose, which is in many ways tied to your purpose sphere in the gene keys. So just to let you know, but when you look at your sun, if you're a Libra, if you're a Taurus, if you're a Scorpio, that energy that right now I'm going to talk about each sign is what you came here to experience. And your purpose in life is not what you do in life, it's what you're here to be. So you came to experience the flavor of whatever sign you have in your sun sign. Your moon sign is your physical and emotional needs. Even though it's the moon, and we know the moon is related to emotions, whatever sign you have in your moon sign represents your physical needs as much as your emotional needs, which is beautiful because it represents your inner world. So whatever you have in your moon sign, it's something very precious and beautiful. And also, it's a lot of what we look at when we're looking at compatibilities. When you're dating someone that has a moon that's compatible with your moon is a very positive thing because it means that both of you understand each other's inner world. But at the same time, just know that there's no bad compatibility. It's just some are more opportunities for learning, for growth than others that could be more easy to go through. but you can love and be with whoever you want. You don't have to have a compatibility to be with somebody. And then your ascendant and your rising is your motivation for living and the direction your life is steered in. So your rising and your ascendant, it's the same thing. Okay, so I'm just going to call it your rising sign. Your rising is your motivation for living and what you're trying to experience in this life. So it's very interesting because sometimes people just think that their sun is what describes them. The sun is just who you're here to be. But while you're being that, you're not trying to discover what your sun sign is, unless you have it as your rising as well. But if not, you may be tapping into a different energy through your experiences and the things that call you in life. So once again, your sun is your life's purpose. Your moon is your physical and emotional needs. And your ascendant or your rising is your motivation for living and the direction your life is steering in. And your ascendant is also the ruler of your chart. So for example, if you have been thinking your whole life, you're just focused that you're a Taurus, your sun is a Taurus, and you've never paid attention to your ascendant, a lot of the themes of what you hear astrologers say, like on TikTok or online, is not based on your sun. It's based on your ascendant, your rising. So you really want to know what your ascendant is. And if you figure this out for the first time and you want to share it on social media, I would love to read it in the comments, or you can send me a little message as well. Good. So now that we know that, we want to move on to the next thing. Let's learn first a little bit about each one of the signs, because we want to get the flavor and the experience of each one of the signs. Now, I want to share something with you. There are 12 signs in astrology. And by the signs, I mean like Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. Those are the signs. And then each sign has a little house because it needs to live in its house. You know, it built its house. It's cute to imagine like the sign, like the Aries or the Taurus, it lives in a home, which is the 12 houses of astrology. So normally each sign belongs to one house, right? 12 signs, 12 houses. But the cool thing is that that's where the mixture of why we all human beings are so different. An example is Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, so it belongs in the first house. But maybe at the time that you were born, Aries was walking around the neighborhood and was on the seventh house, and you have Aries in the seventh house and not the first, which means that your seventh house has a flavor of Aries. Does that make sense? It's almost like each one has a house that it belongs to originally, but it likes to go around as the year goes by and it's moving. And the moment you were born, wherever the planets were, it's what creates that stamp that you look at as your chart. So that's interesting. So let's move first through each one of the signs and the house that it belongs to. Originally, being reminded you may not have it in that house, that sign, okay? But first is Aries. Aries is known as independent, action-oriented. It likes to initiate action. It takes initiative that demonstrates its personal courage and ability to act on its own inspiration, and it is a fire sign. So Aries is the sign of somebody of this fiery energy that is independent, that wants to do what it wants to do. It has a lot of energy. Some of the shadows sometimes of Aries is anger, you know, the emotion of anger. It's just the fire, like it's not bad. And of course, we're all responsible of how we affect others. So if we have anger issues, we want to tap into those and work on them. But it's a natural fire that Aries has. And that is why Aries belongs to the first house, because it has to do with this house of self. If it was like a baby, that's the baby being born and just realizing I'm alive. What is this? Like, what's this world? So that is Aries. Now, after the baby is alive, it wants to create like a home and feel safe in this world. And that is where Taurus comes in. Taurus is the second sign of the zodiac. It lives in the second house, and it is stabilizing and grounded. Taurus harnesses the power of the material world, and just so I can read it to you, it develops security through stabilizing its resources and developing them into fertile fields from which it can provide much abundance. So the second house is your house of security. If you are somebody that struggles with feeling secure in life, you want to go look at your second house, because your second house, it's going to represent everything that has to do with security. One of those things being, of course, money, because in this day and age, we need money to survive, meaning we need money to feel secure. But it also represents your inner security with yourself. That baby, Aries that was like, I'm here, I'm independent, I have this fire for life, suddenly is like, I need to feel safe and I need to enjoy the pleasures of life, and I need to survive. So that is why it has to do with the material world, with pleasure, with stability, feeling very grounded. That is Taurus for you. Now then we have Gemini. That little baby's feeling secure and it's saying, I want to communicate with the world because I'm realizing there's other things here and not only me. Gemini is communication and it's curious. It's like that toddler that wants to go and see how it feels to put the hand on the fire. It's like, woo, does it burn? Does it not burn? Gemini is also, let me see here. It likes to share information. It likes to disperse that information everywhere. And it connects to many people or other things intellectually, stimulating exchanges that generate ideas and relationships. If you ever met a Gemini in your life, you know they love to communicate. They love to talk. They're very lively. They love connection. I love Geminis. They're very fun. And they live in that third house. The third house, when it comes to astrology, is communication, daily life, is how we communicate with those around us, which in this case, it's described as well as others or siblings, because in a family, there's a little baby that's like, first house, like Aries, I'm here. Second house, like Taurus, I want to feel secure. Third house, I want to talk. Who would they talk to? Their siblings. So the closest people to them is how they explore the world. And also it represents extended family. And I forgot to mention, Gemini is an air sign. So that's Gemini. Now that baby that's communicating, it starts to realize that when I communicate and I start connecting with the world, I start feeling emotions. And that is where Cancer comes in. Cancer is the fourth sign of the zodiac. It lives in the fourth house. It is it's a water sign. And then the fourth house is parents, home, and our foundations. And Cancer is ruled by the moon, which is all about emotions. So we want to acknowledge that. Then with Cancer, we're all tapping into that feeling of our emotions, feeling sensitive, feeling like we want to care for that world that we're connecting with. They initiate emotional ties, bonds, and feelings. Also with Cancer, they like to create that familiar bond, and they care. They like to care. They're very motherly in some way. So it's very interesting how you're seeing the progression of the evolution of the signs. Aries, I'm just here, fire, alone. Taurus, but I want to feel safe and earthy and secure. Gemini, I want to explore the world and communicate and realize there's a world outside of me. And then Cancer is I care for that world and I connect emotionally with it and create bonds and a family. Now, after that, we do have Leo. After I connect with family and I realize that I belong somewhere, we tap into the energy of Leo in the fifth house of self-expression and creation. Now that I have a home of my own, I can go and express myself in the world. I can be creative. I can be myself. It has this warmth and entertaining persona in hopes of gaining attention and having its creative self-expression witnessed. Leos love to be witnessed by the world. They are ruled by the sun, so they cannot help it. They're just shining through. And it also represents that inner child energy. So that inner child, and the fifth house represents children, creative projects. It also represents sex and pleasure. So Leo here is a house of just really owning who you are and owning yourself. And then from there, we move to Virgo. Virgo lives in the sixth house. Virgo is very discerning, very thoughtful, analytical. It has various different skills. It wants diversity of skills to serve life with. Virgos really feel that they want to serve the world. And they live in the sixth house, like I mentioned. And it's about your daily routines. If you've ever met a Virgo, you know they really care about their health. Sometimes they can be a little bit hypochondriac. And they love to care about their environment as well. But the core of Virgos is that after, in that little journey, after I discover myself and I feel secure in this world with Taurus, and then with Gemini, I communicate, discover there's a world outside of me. With Cancer, I connect with my emotions. And then with Leo, I want to be seen. I want to tap into my sexuality. I want to be creative. It matures into, I want to serve. I want to help. I want to be in tune with my work and my daily routine. So that's all with Virgo. And then we moved into the seventh house, the house of relationships, one-on-one relationships, which is the house of Libra. Libra is social, likable. They really believe in justice and fairness. And with Libra, let me see here. They love to initiate relationships. They really, really do. And the seventh house is committed partnership. So this is that energy of Libra, that even if you have Libra in another house in the whole chart, you want to pay attention to how there's always a flavor, meaning like if you have another sign on your seventh house that is not Libra, there is always a flavor of Libra there. Of it just, you want to connect with others one-on-one. And then from there, we move to the eighth house, which many people call like a dark house of death, mental health, and other people's resources. This tends to be the house of intense energy, and it is the house of Scorpio. Scorpios are intense, penetrating. They harness the power of emotional intensity. And they are that way because that's a pure and beautiful energy that helps us move through mental health issues to the concept of death, which is a reality in life. So that the eighth house belongs to the energy of Scorpio. Now we move to the ninth house after we've gone through, Virgo, which is I want to serve. And then I want to connect with others through Libra. And I want to connect deeper with myself with the eighth house of death and mental health. We want to now go big and explore the world in the ninth house of travel, education, publishing, religion, astrology, and philosophy. The ninth house is the house of Sagittarius, which is just adventurous and positive. So in the ninth house, it's where you want to expand without any limit. And that is why Sagittarius, they seek unrestricted movement. Sagittarius just want to move. They want to explore. They want to experience. They do not want to be limited. They do not like to have rules. They simply want to be what they need to be. And that is why they belong onto the ninth house of traveling. And if you know a Sagittarius, you know it's true. And then we move to the 10th house of career and public speaking, which belongs to Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is the planet of discipline. So that is the energy of enduring, of being reserved, of when it comes to work and career, of how we show up each and every single day to make it happen for ourselves. And it's interesting because Capricorn, it focuses on the long-term plan. So we all have that energy. Even if we have another planet in our 10th house, we all have the energy of, I want to think to some level long-term about my career. But wherever it is that we have Capricorn, it could be in a different house. We're going to have that energy of, I want to be, have that energy of commitment, long-term commitment, and be enduring and not give up, in some ways be severe. And Capricorn is an earth sign. So that's good. And then we have the 11th house. The 11th house is all about friends, community, social networks, social media, good fortune. So there's a lot of positive things that happen in the 11th house. And it is ruled by Aquarius. Now, Aquarius are very intellectual, very insightful. They're known as the humanitarians. They harness the power of the intellect, but not necessarily just to talk and communicate. They view the world in a very different way. That's why we connect Aquarius with technology. But it's very interesting because Aquarius care about the whole. They care about the community. That's why it's all about community, friends, social media. How can I not only think about me, but think about everybody? And then we have the 12th house, which is the hidden life, the house of secrets, the house of sorrow, and the house of loss. This is another one of those dark houses, and it's in opposition with, let me see here, with that one. It's in opposition with our 6th house, but it is ruled by Pisces. Pisces is the most intuitive, creative of all of the signs. It is a water sign. And it likes to focus on the big vision, on dreams, on that inner world. It's very spiritual. So whatever sign you have on the 12th house represents the way that you tap into your spirituality. So, that was a lot of information. Why is this even important? We want to know, for example, if we're ever having conversations here, I want to bring a lot of guests that are astrologers into the podcast, where if they mention like what's going on in the second house or the 12th house, you want to know, oh, what does that house mean? You want to know what the original ruler of that house is. And then you want to go look at your chart and see what sign you have yourself in each one of the houses. Remember, your ascendant, your rising sign, what you're here to kind of want to explore and experience, what you want to become, is always in your first house. That is how we know who your ascendant is. So that is why it's who you want to become, because that is where you play the role of that little baby that is born. But you may not have Aries there. You may have Virgo or Taurus or Leo. And that dictates the vibe of your story and how it moves around. So I find this to be very interesting. I know it can be a little bit overwhelming, but for now, I would invite you to go to astro.com or any other website and just look at what is your sun, what is your moon, what is your rising. If you already know that, something that I would invite you to look at is, where do you have your Mars, which is the way you take action in life, the way you connect with your sexuality as well. Where do you have your Mercury, which is the way you communicate in life? Where do you have your Venus, which is the way that you experience pleasure and the way that you connect in relationships to others? Where do you have your Saturn, which is the way that you are disciplined, like the area of life that you have either a lot of lessons or you're very disciplined in, or that can be a little bit strict, or like the father energy of like, we need to do this. That can give you a lot of perspective. If you discover something that you didn't know about yourself, I would love to know. You can send me a little message or connect with me on social media. And I want to remind you, as we finish with today's episode, is that if you enjoyed some of what you learned, but maybe I went too fast because I wanted to just kind of put it out there, you can go and get this book. Is You Were Born for This, Astrology for Radical Acceptance by Chani Nicholas. That is where we got all the info today. And remember, if you want to join this journey of the Gene Keys, which uses astrology, so it connects to a lot of what we're learning, you can get access to a free Gene Keys course. It's a 3-day experience completely for free. This is guided by Richard Rudd, the creator or the initiator of the Gene Keys, we could say. And you can find it at youaretheguide.com/get started. You'll just go there and you can get started and experience the free course. With this said, let's thank the stars for guiding us sometimes in life, for learning new things. And I just want to thank you for spending a little bit of time with me here today. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will see you soon.